let's pause this and we'll continue in a few moments.
I'm Darcy.
You make it sound so unorganic. I'm Dylan Kwan, and this is a continued conversation from our previous thought processes. Way to go. Good job.
I'm creative.
Good job, philosopher, man.
Yes. I chose a word and I stuck with it because I thought it appropriately described the object. You're more creative than me. Anyways, what were we saying?
Great start off to our
part 2.
Yeah, of our future podcast creation. Nobody's gonna listen to this bullshit.
I will.
Doesn't help if you're saying it and then re-listening to it.
It helps me because then I'll do other things a little bit, like think about it.
Masturbate too. But anyway.
Yes, that's what I'll do. Oh,
Dylan. Okay.
Yeah.
Shut up. Okay, here we go. Let's start again. Here we go. We're beginning now. So the idea of all these ideas already kind of advented, right? The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is creating planets out of planets, and so now that we have tons of data, maybe
as a human race.
Maybe unrecorded specifically, but now that we're starting to kind of digitalize it or format it in a way, systematize it rather.
I mean, I think we can have it all on a server, but if nobody ever goes to it, I mean, there's tons of stuff on there no one ever read.
But this goes into the idea of like, let's kind of take a leap into the science fiction and say that all
people just know it. Like it has that like brain chip that you just know. All
exactly.
Stuff,
So now that say everyone has a collective memory, what happens, or what do we lose? What do we gain? And I think what we lose is kind of the human. I don't know if misanthropic is the right word. Probably not.
Misanthropes are people who like are mean or something like that.
Yeah, well, I mean,
you lose meanness.
You lose sort of this kind of rejectoratory. That might have just been a word that I invented.
You mean like you almost stop being racist and bigots, like
like
metaphorically speaking, like that's like an analogy that's like a small scale of what you mean. Like we stop having boundaries and borders, and we start just seeing everybody as one thing and stuff. Is that what you mean?
Yes, without borders. Yes.
I mean, I don't think that needs to be the case. We can assume it, but like you can see tons of people have tons of information, and that they do is just instead of, breaking down the borders and seeing each other, they're like, no, I've looked at the history books everybody has. Germans are bad people. They just are. Look at the information. It's like, how do you make conclusions? I mean, the thing is, it's like, okay, so take math for example, and logic. This is true for both of those. You have a ton of information and you have a ton of structure, but that doesn't mean there isn't innovation. There's new stuff that comes up in it.
So are we the innovators?
I mean, it's not about that. I mean that, like, I think our thoughts will still be bounded by logic. And so what I'm saying is that two people can look at all the same set of data and then conclude different things.
Right. So
so it doesn't break down borders. It doesn't necessarily break down borders. We can assume that it does, but
So the fact of, I guess, designers would be then pure subjectivity rather than objectivity. The objectivity is out there. The subjectivity is our choosing, rather. And so a continuation of this kind of subjective nature of
like,
data.
Like, it's no longer a matter of... It's no longer about... it's not objective in that the data is already there, the facts of the matter are already established. It becomes purely subjective in that it's now ascribing preferences to those facts and saying this is the important stuff and that's the unimportant stuff. And this is how we're going to coalesce it, and now we've highlighted all the important stuff.
Right.
And then somebody can disagree with you, like, no, I think something else is important. I don't think simplicity or beauty is important. I think efficiency and, like, durability are the important things.
So, in that sense,
that's subjective.
In that sense, how do we boundary this subjectivity? In the sense that, so I talk about materiality as a kind of elemental. It's a hyper-objective, right? Material is purely material. It's like saying kind of like substances.
Yeah. Like, so the things outside of me are the things outside of me. They're not the stuff inside my head. They don't have any relation to me that, like, determines any fact about them except for their relation to me. Like, the fact that there's a speaker there and it's gray and black, that's not subjective. That's just the way
You're referring to the speaker on my desk.
Yeah.
I just want to make.
Yeah, I understand. So, like, there are objective facts about that material. There are subjective facts, and they're like, oh, I think it's pretty. Or there's subjective facts, and they're like, it's a bit too shiny.
Or, like, why did they create it with that material rather than something else?
No, I mean, that might be objective, too.
Right. So seeing that there's objectivity in this materiality, that we're already boundaried in this kind of situationist situation. It's a horrible way of saying it, but I mean, you know what I mean, right? It's how do we work within it, or do designers now do designers, I guess, project the...
I mean, one thing that could, I think, happen is that if we have all this information is that, like, no, there isn't disagreement on important. Everybody values the same stuff because everybody values, like, not suffering or something like that. Like, maybe that's it.
Well, what about masochists?
No. They take pleasure in their suffering.
Right. But they hold suffering to a different
they
standard.
understand it differently.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that the actual sentence, like, so this could be put in terms of utility. Perhaps that'd be more useful. Was you just saying maximize utility? In which case it's like, oh, well, then it becomes objective because you just have to figure out how you measure utility. Maybe happiness, maybe desire, satisfaction, maybe pleasure. All of those are viable measures of utility.
What is most viable then?
Most viable?
Yeah.
I mean, it's debatable. People debate that stuff like crazy.
Right. So I guess my quest is the most objective of the subjective. Which is almost...
You mean, what is the most agreed upon thing amongst people?
Yeah.
Like, amongst all of our personal subjective stuff,
yeah.
What is the most common?
Based on the objectivity that we now, idyllically know.
Oh, yeah, we all, yeah.
And I think now is a perfect time, is a perfect starting point, rather, to project that future. Or to project the understanding of what that future may entail, or have that conversation about it, at least. Do you agree or disagree to that?
About that is the perfect time,
Well,
or that now, or that this is something we
like we should like. If we don't do it now, it'll happen later. Kind of like it's kind of we're a crux of being the first essentially to kind of have this conversation of.
I mean, I don't know.
That's not true.
Yeah, because like Hitchhiker's Guide.
Right.
There was probably that dialogue. I'm sure there was stuff among other science fiction writers.
Right, but what we're now trying to do at least is projecting a more and a more exact, objectified future.
There's certain facts of the world now that we're trying to take into account that they didn't take into account then.
Yes. Certain inventions.
So we're just doing the same thing that they're doing with different information.
Yeah.
Okay.
So things that
I think that's important to do. Yeah, I always think that's important to do almost.
Yeah. Yeah. So rather than saying that it's important, so how do we?
How do
I
we
guess.
go about doing?
Yeah. How do you generate this this new kind of
Just
facet?
like prophecy or something like this, like.
Prophecy sounds really religious, but yes.
Oh, yeah, I mean, like the.
To a certain degree, this is a religion. Like, I wrote it somewhere where it was, or read it somewhere rather. It's like a bunch of atheists creating a religion, kind of thing. Is
Yeah,
the encompassing of design.
Yeah, I have no problem. Wait, did they encompass design?
Well, that's the idea of design.
Oh,
rather,
okay.
Or the.
I mean, I don't know. I have no problem with religion, and I have no problem with people incorporating, even if they're not religious. Or